GM, GM, GM. Fomoverse Radio. This is your show host, Austin Hamilton. Today we have special guest, OXG. What's up, man? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
James there. Yeah, so thanks for having me on. It's a honor to be with the partners, Fomoverse. What about a little bit about myself? Yeah, I'm a software engineer by trade. Actually, I've been in tech for a while, 20, no, less than 20 years, 15-ish, professionally. And then obviously I've been playing with computers since I was, I don't know, 12 or something like that. Uh, I was around Web 1, Web 2, now Web 3. They're all the same, I think. Just evolutions. And every time there's a new interesting things, and that's why I'm here. I started to kind of approach the NFT space last year, mostly because I'm also, in a way, a creator in the sense that I like building things. And I think as a technical guy, I have like this. I realized I have like those small superpowers that allow me to create things from scratch, basically with zero investment. And I find it interesting to play with new tech tools and those kind of things. I'm also into design and architecture, those kind of things. So I think NFTs is great. You know, uh, a
OXG,
great area.
where did you get your superpowers from? Did you find it in like
I
the mountains somewhere? Or?
No. They found me probably. So there was like, uh, here's the thing. At the end of high school, I had to make a decision whether I wanted to be a architect or a software engineer, or like study computer science. And and this is because like my father is also an architect, and it was like probably I've been exposed to that kind of things from childhood. And he also happened to have, like in the 90s, bought these computers and things like that, um, because it was the new thing. And in fact, it proved to be the new thing. And he had to switch from, uh, you know, analog to digital. And so drawing with CAD and all those kind of things. But back then I was just too little for that, and I was just breaking his computer, and playing video games and things like that, and then having to fix it for it. And so I guess that's where everything started for me. And yeah,
So
oh,
when
that
when
and
your
probably also me.
when your
Yeah, sorry, go
dad
ahead.
went from analog to digital,
Yep.
what what do you mean by that?
Before we had computers and CAD for drawing and all those kind of things, people used to have those you know big ass tables where they would draw. um I don't know what's the English for the technical term for the table.
That's
I'm
okay.
not a native English speaker, like a native English speaker. And but
So they used to
essentially,
draw the plans on big tables.
yeah, yeah, you would draw the plants by hand, like,
Okay.
yeah, with tools obviously. And even writing like the labels and the descriptions and all that were essentially done with this special, like, um how is it called, template thing,
Yep.
like where you have
Templates.
all
Yep.
the letters,
Hmm.
and you then with a pen you compose a word and sentences and all of that, instructions, measures, and all those kind of things. So it was very nice actually to hang out at his studio and the smell of paper, and it was a mix of creativity and like because you obviously have to come up with a plan, a project, and all that kind of things, especially when you do interior or exteriors design and all those kind of things. And also then like technical and all that. And I found it very interesting. Uh, and for whatever reason, I was good at both in high school. And but then I had to make a choice, and my father was like, "Go for computer science. You're gonna have a better future." And I guess it was right.
Is
So,
your father still an architect?
yeah, yeah. He's almost retiring. It's just keeping himself busy at this point. um, just, but yeah, still, yeah, still in business.
Nice. That's pretty.
And yeah, and in addition to that, I'm like, I'm that kind of person who puts thinking into whatever is doing or like happens around me or that kind of stuff. Like, and so I try to, for a lot of things, often I try to observe, get an understanding, and then try to look at things from different angles and stuff like that, which is what I also do sometimes with this NFT project, which is are mostly, side projects, things that I do explorations and fun.
Speaking of your NFT projects, I pulled up your website here.
Uh-huh.
Let me center it here. Okay. So I don't know if you guys could see this, but it's oxg.xyz. Um, so you can see his creations here. OXG. You have
Yeah.
Want, Exhibit,
Uh,
Owned, Blink, which I thought was pretty interesting here. Was
mhm.
this your most recent?
No, that was a
Was that
small thing I did sometime this year. No, I don't remember exactly when. But I was playing with this. There's a basic machine learning, uh, specifically with a library that is fairly popular in the field, um, and looking around, browsing models, pre-trained machine learning models, and at some point I stumbled upon one that allowed you to um, recognize the blink of the eye, like, and react to those actions. And so I made this experiment micro project where um, you could pull up this thing and let it start and give access to the camera, and then when you blink it stops and you could take a snapshot of it. And so people uh, participated, a few people participated, and they shared their blink in a way, like their snapshot, and then I let people vote, and I minted three of them to three community members.
awesome? I
Yeah.
I I love your creative ideas. I mean, you're just
The idea here initially was that you could blink to mint.
wow.
So like every piece would be possibly different, but then I was like, yeah, I mean, not everything needs to be an NFT, So uh, I'll just keep it like that and simple.
Have you heard of the artist Mario Klingman?
No, to be honest. But unless I see something from.
Okay, so I was doing a little watching on YouTube, a guide to POC, the Defiant
Okay,
Guide to POC, and they were talking about lost poets,
all right.
and then they brought up Mario Klingman, and I was like, what does he have to do with lost poets? And so I was checking it out, and
Mhm.
they posted an image, which I'll show here in a second, and apparently he had created this like some years ago. Look at this, 2017. Let's pull this up here. Okay.
All right.
So this is made by Mario Klingman.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Now I see the picture here. Yeah, I recognize that
Yeah,
uh,
it's the
from your tweet. Yeah.
yeah, the this technique apparently is the same process to create deep fakes.
All right. This is yeah.
Have you seen people use like deep fakes? Are you familiar with that? Let me show you something.
Oh, show me something. Yeah,
Okay, so do you know the famous actor Tom Cruise?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So this guy is not Tom Cruise. They're
Hmm.
using AI technology.
Yeah. Yeah, there is this. Yeah. Okay.
Reminds me, was once in Russia.
I think I get the idea. And so basically,
He said, Mr.
you're
Movie
saying
Star,
probably
are you nervous?
there's a
I said, no,
chance if
Mr.
Pac
Scorchano.
used something like that. Uh, like he had some seed images, like people faces or something, and he's with machine learning is like probably um, doing derivative hard out
Yep.
of. Uh-huh.
Yep. So I just thought this was all interesting, and then finding out about this Mario Klingman, somebody sent me a video of
Yeah.
him, and he was talking about the creation of it.
Hmm.
Let me see if I can pull that up here. Give me a second.
The image is from 2017, right?
Yeah.
So now that from like what is it? 5 years ago. Hmm. Well,
Okay.
initially I was thinking, um, there's a project on the internet called "This Person Doesn't Exist," which is basically AI generating perfectly real new faces that don't exist. And I figured maybe somebody who's making a project that potentially is gonna be uh, on the blockchain forever, and like you don't want liability of any kind in that sense. And maybe so, what's better than creating images from faces that of people that don't exist? But your idea, your
Is this it
um,
right here?
yeah, I think so. Yeah. Um, Another thing I've always wondered is like,
So this person doesn't exist?
no,
Man, it looks
and
so real.
I guess if you refresh, you get a new one or something like that. Uh,
Okay, here we
there,
go.
there, there are so many awesome application. Uh, well, like it's not just this. It's like
This guy
you
looks
can
like a
generate
lost
things.
poet.
It could be, right? Like I mean, the best thing would be obviously. I think it's never going to happen, but it'll be fascinating to see what is the poet generation process like. So getting a hand of handle of the the model that Pack probably trained for this. Um, but I think we never get to play with that. Um, One thing I've been wondering since the beginning is like, I mean, I wonder if any of the poets is it's modeled after Pack's face. I mean, this kind of things artists do this all the time, and I can imagine. I always wondered if like um, the origin that Pack owns is uh, somehow a whole picture from Pack that is being transformed or something like that.
Wow. I've
That
never
would be
even thought
interesting.
about it like that, but yeah, that brings up a good point. I wonder if there's like some code that you can like trace and find like his current picture or something.
I mean, there's 27K poets and some like faceless or not recognizable or anything like that will be very hard to kind of trace back the real face that originated but like that was used as a base to generate the poets, so that could that could be packed somewhere there. We'll never know.
That's crazy. I got this video pulled up here. So it's called The Hypnotic Allure of the AI Art Generator.
Hmm.
This says it was released 3 years ago
Okay.
by Sotheby's.
If you hear somebody playing a piano, would you ever ask, is the piano the artist? No. So, same thing here. Just because it's a complicated mechanism, it doesn't change the roles.
Let's just watch this for a second.
Memories of Passers-by is a machine that I created that will keep on generating portraits of non-existing people forever. And it can do that because it uses a collection of neural networks. And in this case, I used portraits painted by the great masters from Western European art history. And yes, so now the machine is in this in a cycle where it continuously creates new faces that start changing, that fade away, and it observes itself and creates a feedback loop. It's not a rendered video or a curated print or curated images that I pre-selected. It is doing it at that moment, which is a risky thing because it's a system where you have only a certain amount of foresight what it might do. The piece consists of 2 screens, of which one will show more female-looking portraits and the other one more male-looking portraits. And then there is a case which was kind of custom made for this purpose because the computer will not mind that is inside, because that is, of course, it houses a very powerful machine which creates those paintings while you look at them. So I think that's quite magical.
So just after seeing that for 2 minutes there,
Hmm.
that they just remind me so much of Lost Poets.
Yeah, I mean it's I think the yeah the models, like they're called they have a name, the GAN.
Yep.
I think I mean I'm not super expert in when it comes to image processing.
It's like
and those
GAN generated or something.
Yeah.
Right.
There are there at this point I believe there are plenty of models that can do this type of work.
Neural
also
networks
interesting-
that are trained on dozens of thousands of real pictures in order to produce images that are entirely made up but look like real pictures.
Right. So it's in many cases it's also possible that the models are standard, and then it all depends on how you train them. what kind of data set you feed into the model and this kind of things. But again, I'm not an expert in this field, so mm, I I better shut up. And
Hey, hey, you probably know more than I do about this stuff. So
and but one thing I wanted to I think it's kind of accurate is that in this case, heart is doesn't have to be determinist. So the person in the video was saying it's risky because this thing is generated probably even in real time, and you don't know what is it gonna come up with. But reality is that the beauty of art is that it doesn't have to be perfect to be good. Imperfection there is actually the quality oftentimes, and also I think it would be very hard otherwise to even deterministically reproduce a piece. So if the goal was that, then yes, probably. If you take now one poet and you want to somehow reverse engineer the process to be able to get to that same poet, that's way harder than creating new poets, probably. That would be just randomly beautiful or ugly, depends on who you ask. I've seen people saying, "Oh, they look so ugly. Why do you want to buy them?" I'm like, probably you spent too little time. There's so many beautiful poets out there.
you know, I've always heard the quote, "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder."
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
totally true.
you know what I think is great too? I was looking outside the other day and I was talking to my girlfriend and I was like, you know, it's just amazing that we can look outside and just nature is beautiful because it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. Um, it's. I mean, what you said is correct.
Look at
I mean,
this.
nature. It's yeah. You can compete with that, obviously. But I mean, even with reality, I guess. Um, so sometimes I feel like taking a picture or something, and I struggle capturing the beauty of what I'm seeing, right?
Photographers
So
are very good at that, and they have a special gift. You know, I struggle with the same thing, OXG. I'll try to take a picture and I'm like, man, you know, it just looks way
right.
better, like just from what I'm seeing. You know, but then
So
it's like you see some of the phenomenal ash photographers that we have
yeah.
in our community, and you're like, how in the world are you catching that?
Yeah. Well, that's obviously an art on its own. Like um, the skills to being able to, first of all, you kind of have to, um, you need to know how to um, uh, transfer like the what you're seeing, like the experience that you're having, like how to to imprint it
Mhm.
in a picture. It's very hard. Sometimes I feel like when I do it is like just my interpretation of what I want to uh, show about what I'm seeing, um, but I rarely manage to capture the real thing that uh, I'm
Oh, totally.
seeing. But also because I oftentimes just have an iPhone with me,
Same. Which the
which is
iPhone
quite
camera,
different.
they're pretty good though. They're not
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, they're good.
Oh, that's really
So
cool. That reflection there. It's like a complete circle. It's amazing.
it's-
All right,
so
OXG.
yeah, Fomoverse, you have your little private channel, right? That is just for the Fomoverse token.
Correct. Yes, we
Mhm.
do have our own private
That's
channel
pretty
there.
sweet.
Thank you.
How many of you are there? Like all the 1,200? Probably not.
Yeah, so let me pull up how many FOMO tokens actually are out there. Um, Thank you for Second State making this website here. WatchCubesBurn.art actually
Mhm.
has all the FOMOs remaining.
Uh-huh.
So let's see here.
Mm.
Okay, so there's 906 FOMO remaining. It was actually interesting because I think it was right before Ash Chapter 2 dropped. Pock actually paused the burning
Yep.
for FOMO.
Yep.
Gosh, and you can see right here it's $522 USD. That's crazy. I remember
Oh.
when FOMO was like 10 grand. But
Well,
that's okay.
I think they will be back at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 months is nothing in life.
Mm-mm.
If you think about it, it seems like we've been in this space
Yeah.
for like 20 years.
Oh,
It's just
Yeah, we're all like getting old. Everybody has gray hair after 6
Yeah.
months. You've seen the memes where it's like me 1 year ago before NFTs, and then
That's
now
true.
like the guy's hair's like straight up, and he's got the Monster
Yeah.
energy drink, like,
Yeah.
or he's at
Well,
the
that combo of pandemic and
NFTs.
NFT was killer. I
Uh,
also grew a few white hair, by the way. Something that I had managed to avoid for a long time. But yeah,
Here we go. The right click saver.
yes. But anyway, yeah, I was like, Fomoverse was like at the highest of the the high FOMO curve for me, really, and had like approached the pack ecosystem. um I mean, I was a new pack from his their design stuff, like a little bit before NFTs, and but then never really followed, so I missed the first phase of
Okay.
pack in NFTs, and I knew pack because of like Web2 things, like other designers and that kind of things, but I really didn't follow pack really, and and then like yeah, then I started to follow, and I missed FOMO verbs, and I was so pissed. I started to look at the source code in the website, smart contract, trying to figure out if there was a way around, but um, obviously there wasn't. And it was also the time when I was learning, about Solidity, those kind of things. So it was really interesting for me to play, or to like look at source code and like understand what's going on. And obviously with Pack, everything was more interesting because it wasn't just images, but there were mechanisms and all those kind of things. And yeah, so but it was a good lesson, in the at the end of this for me. That at some point I was like I stopped, and probably if you uh, then if you do some time meditation, or you know that at some point you like have to pay attention of what you kind of experiencing or feeling, because otherwise often we just forget, or I don't know. And I looked at myself and I'm like, damn, man, this feeling of like missing out is terrible. And like and from there on I started to approach drops in general in a different way, and accepted that it's a big sea, and you will be missing out things, right? And it's okay. There's always another chance opportunity and all this kind of stuff. So it was a good lesson for me. And it was fun then too.
That's
Yeah.
so interesting that you bring up that emotion or that feeling
Yep.
that actually changed you moving forward, how you approach drops. Um, I want to say that happened to me. I don't know if it was at the same time that FOMO came out, but there was a time where, you can agree with me, there was like 50 brand new mints in one
Yep.
day. And it
Yes.
just seemed like every single day, it seemed like the ones that you don't get in or the ones that moon and the ones
Yeah.
that you bought
Absolutely.
totally just got dumped.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so it's like you just kept trying to chase like this moon that was just never going to happen. And so
Totally.
you
Yeah.
just you kind of like rethought about even like minting in general. So I
Yes.
totally I share that same feeling with you, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. It's. I think. Yeah. I think many. Uh. Yeah. Probably the majority of it. I can. I would imagine that have experienced this feeling, and yeah, and it's like if you think about it, like it's like, come on, man.
Hey, hey, what do you think has been like your most missed opportunity? Like as far as like
Um,
minting a project that just went like insane and then you looked at it and you're like,
mhm.
I'm not going to do this. And then like the next day it just went crazy. Is there one that like you have in your mind that you're like, "Man, I really could have minted that at like point 0.2." Is there anything that you can think of?
uh, I don't know. I mean, clearly some packs for sure. Also the other way around, where I bought when it was too high, and uh, I mean, in general, I really the thing is that I don't invest in NFTs in the sense of like buying a ton of NFTs and investing, like trying to make profits, big profits, and things like that. And uh, yeah, because I'm not an investor, and and that's the thing. So in that sense, I managed to stay kind of lucid in a sense. Like I didn't lose it and started to buy NFTs, a ton of NFTs. But clearly, I pretty much saw all of that. Like the one I probably regret the most is CryptoPunks, because
Oh,
I was witnessing this stuff when it was that early, and then I remember starting to see the Web2 kind of people making a joke of those images being sold for a lot of money, and I was
10
like,
grand.
damn it,
10 grand and
yes.
you're like, "Who's going to pay 10 grand for that?"
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't, I mean, I always I have always a critic mindset, but I'm not a, um, how do I put it? Yeah, I
Speculator?
don't,
I don't know.
yeah, no, that, but also like,
Gambler?
I don't embrace, this, bottles, like I mean, there's people is free to do whatever they want,
Hmm.
um, and I try to not be that political, especially online, because
I can tell. I can tell.
it's the worst medium to have conversations. The conversation you have never take the they're not, there's never the same as those that you have in person, where people is more reasonable. They get a better understanding of what's your intent, what you're trying to say. So yeah, and that's why also in the end I ended up being OXG in a way, because I had started with my normal account where I am in touch with, the technical Twitter, where, network, where people that works in the same space and stuff. And I figured at some point, whatever, that there is a clash with people are completely um, not interested in this kind of thing. So, and I wanted to be free, and I found, so I just went for an alternative account, and that's was probably the best choice.
When do you think you had to cross that road?
Well, I mean,
If you wanted to be OXG or if you wanted to be John Smith. I don't know your name, but could be your name.
look, I've no intent of like being a mysterious hidden person like Pac or something. Initially, I preferred, and I still kind of prefer to be anonymous sometimes, because I've seen that it was like a wild in NFTs. There were people of any kind, scammers, and all this type of person. You never know. You would see in drops people that try to exploit you and stuff like that. So it was like more. It's more like of a self-defense, and I'm always for pro privacy, and that's why I keep it like that. But otherwise, I think, yeah, if the moment I want to do something serious, like in Web3, would, a product, something like that, probably could make sense to make it clear. Also because my real identity could just had to the trust that I earned in this small community, just because saying, these things I've been doing for 10 years plus. I've been building, I've been working at companies and been building things, and it's not just trying to take advantage of the situation. But otherwise, I think the work and the thing we share are more important of who we are in general, and yeah, that's a good reason for staying anonymous.
I think you have legit reasons right now. This would be like me if I was trying to like not dox myself.
That's cool. Do you really own a punk?
That's actually a disto punk.
Okay,
So I actually
I like it regardless.
actually used to have a disto punk.
Uh-huh.
Bought one at 0.2, and gosh, they went all the way up to like 10 ETH or something crazy.
Awesome.
And I like sold. It like went back down to like 2 ETH. I sold it there. I think they're like even lower now. I think they're like maybe 0.6.
All right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, they're like a alt punk project, which I was kind of interested in, like some of these other alt punk projects like a year or so ago. I thought, maybe in the future, and they still might have a future or something. But
Sure.
hey, earlier OXG, you'd brought up that you had been following POC before NFTs. I pulled something up here. Didn't know if
A
this
little
is
bit.
what you were talking about. So, from some of the research I've done, POC used to be on Vimeo before making NFTs. So, is are these some of the videos that maybe you've seen his work before before he moved to NFTs? Or
Well, actually, no. This type of work is what I learned. It's something that I got familiar with later on. Um, I was familiar with the with Pac, this person online, the logo, more like not in details. I just knew people in that there are in connection connected to pack, or like in terms of mutual following and all those kind of things. That are people that work in tech and in the industry, and I guess I believe Pack has also had over the years involvement in the design, uh, yeah, in the design industry and all this kind of thing.
Wow.
So this started in 2011, right? This is
Yeah,
2012.
this was 11 years
Yes.
ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2011. I want to say uh, the butterfly, the butterfly effect was the first video. Is that right?
Probably.
I couldn't find it when I typed it in on Google. Maybe I need to do a little bit more digging.
Uh, I don't remember the title. Pretty sure people in the listeners are. We're just not following, but I'm sure somebody's probably suggesting that. Can it be the timekeeper? No. I don't remember, to be honest.
Was it what were you trying to find? The first video?
Yep. Yeah, but I just stumbled upon other things that unrelated. Anyway,
Oh.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty sure Pac has been through all the web uh, eras other others. I mean, I used to be online when uh, we had dial-up.
Uh-huh.
Like
You couldn't be on
not
the
even
phone. You couldn't be on
not
the phone
even
if you're on the internet.
yeah. I mean, not yeah, that type of internet, like, but not even before 56K. I don't know if you remember, like even slower internet, like 9.6 or things like that. And exactly when the phone was you couldn't be the phone was busy essentially, but you even had to pay yearly subscription and things like that. And yeah, it was a really fascinating era where many things were still new, and there was a lot of room for uh, growth and experimentation, and that there used to be even other networks, other outside of the internet. One that I remember of was called X.25. It was used by banks and other institutions, and then it could at some point even bridge to the internet, so there were a connection. But then in the end, the internet, as we know it, or the current stack, won over other of those parallel networks. And I feel like probably blockchain is kind of in the same space right now, at the same stage. Um, right now, it seems like very chaotic. Um, there are too many. There are imperfect. They are not efficient, and we don't even. We are not even quite sure what are the real useful application of it in some
Yep.
cases. Um, but I mean, it's been just a few years. Probably in 20 years,
Oh my
it will
gosh. You
be.
know, on my way home yesterday, that brings up, like, it's only been around for a couple of years. I was driving home yesterday from work, beautiful
Yeah.
sky, beautiful mountains. And I was just thinking to myself, wow, I remember the first time that I did a transaction on MetaMask. I was like, holy crap, there's all these buttons. I'm doing something on Ethereum. I don't really know what I'm doing here. I'm paying a gas fee. I think like the first thing I did on MetaMask was I bought this DeFi token.
Uh-huh.
And it was it's a Chainlink DeFi token.
Right.
I can't even remember I think it was like Link PT or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was so cool how you could like plug in your MetaMask to this website, sign some messages. Didn't even read them, by the way.
Yeah.
I didn't have really anything in the wallet, so who cares? And then just like bought some stuff. Thought it was so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing because like in terms of like if you put aside the speed and the costs, well, like the cost, sorry, the speed is amazing. Like it's instantaneous almost. I mean, you won't find as cool. Like it's immediate and like a direct end-to-end transaction that are this nice and this easy, especially. Um, I mean, once you're on board, of course, but and that's I think what is still missing there, apart from obviously some kind of some degree of acceptance from governments and stuff, which right now are just making everything more complicated
Yep.
for everybody. I think the idea that in many cases these stuff are like assets, but at the same time they're supposed to be currencies is nuts. And all for like I am self-employed. I have my own business and operating with this stuff. It's it's like a dangerous territory. It's like it's hard rather.
There's not like
Um,
clear regulatories
no,
around this
exactly.
stuff.
And when there is it's like probably nonsense. Oh, perhaps yeah, like too complicated. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, it's super interesting, and yeah, somehow like related to what you were saying. Instead, for me, it was like a few years ago when I still was not much into crypto, um, but I was obviously exposed to this stuff through the tech uh, community and um, like I thought initially that smart contracts were some kind of legal agreements, like weird things that I would never be able to 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 grasp, right? And my friend, who's also an engineer, was like, "Man, we need to make a currency ourselves." And we're like, "How the hell we're gonna do this?" Like, it's I completely no clue until at some point, like in last year, like at the beginning of last year, I started to play with this thing, and I realized it was like just programs. They're programs that are deployed to the blockchain, and they are even relatively simple for like if you have a programming background, you'll find it actually pretty easy. The model is pretty straightforward, and that's the beauty, I guess, because something so simple is actually so good.
Beautiful.
So yeah, that's essentially why I'm uh, in crypto and NFTs, because it's very interesting.
I pulled up a little
Mm-hmm.
a little checklist here for people that maybe they've heard of smart contracts. They're not really sure what they are. How do you start one? Is it on Microsoft Word? What do you do? So if you could just kind of maybe break it down, OXG. You see some of these bubbles here: accuracy, transparency, security, communication, efficient,
Yep.
paper-free, trust. Just give us like one simple paragraph, like, "Hey, this is what a smart contract is. This is what it's used for."
Absolutely. So I think the easiest way to say is like um, the probably many are familiar with the Ethereum blockchain as a system where um, that is decentralized. And in a nutshell, a blockchain is like basically a peer-to-peer network where they are the participants also validate the data and claims, right? So imagine it like I don't know, BitTorrent, uh, a torrent where there are nodes peer to peer that
Hmm.
share this stuff, and they validate this information and they get rewarded with tokens. Um, the smart contract is a program that can run in this system, and they are very small normally, um, and they essentially allow you to do three things that are um, store information in the blockchain, read from this state from the blockchain, or write. So you could write a if you take a token like a cryptocurrency like a ERC20, which is like hash or USDC, anything like that. Um, every contract is holding the balance of every user. That's the state, and then you can read it and you update it when maybe you make a transfer. And so in that way, then everything is transparent. You switch slide, but I think I remember what was there. In a way, it's transparent because everybody can see what's the state. Everything, the code is even public. Everybody can read the code of that contract.
Oh, here is this the
Of
one?
this program. Yeah,
Is
of
this-
this
yeah,
program.
here we go.
So basically, this program that is running deployed in on the blockchain is running there, and you can interact with it, um, and so yeah, it's transparent, it's accurate, it's immutable in most of the times, meaning that once it's there, it cannot be changed, and
Speaking of
it's
that,
sufficient. Yeah.
can you make a smart contract editable then? Can you change it after
So
it is deployed?
normally you cannot. What you can do is you can destroy a smart contract, and you can say at some point you can, if you pre fill the contract logic with the specific steps to destroy it, you can destroy it itself. But again, because of everything is transparent, user will see. So don't be afraid. Your probably NFT contracts don't have any of this functionality. What otherwise you can do oftentimes is put deploy revisions, like different versions of the contract where perhaps you're fixing something, and mark the old as outdate, like a sunset or something, and then you always interact with whatever is the current version through some smaller contract that is called proxy. It's essentially
Proxy
passing.
contract.
Essentially, you interact with it, and he is forwarding your request to the whatever is the current implementation. Then, if you want to go really there, there's been some techniques where people have actually managed to kind of hack in a way, and replace a contract at the same address. So that's doable in a way, which is scary.
It kind of almost reminds me of Mass. or merge, whenever that came out, they didn't they have to like redo the contract or something and then deploy it again?
Exactly. So if you look the old contract that had a bug, it's still on the blockchain. It's not deleted. Uh,
Is
what
this it right
they
here? I mean,
Yeah, yeah, the contract is still there.
so
Um,
what do I?
I think if you press, there's
Oh,
14
right here.
ethers, which I don't know.
View on
You can see.
Etherscan. Should
Do
I
you
click
see the
this?
14 on the left? 14 items? If
Yeah,
you
I do
click
see
there,
that.
it doesn't give you any. Okay. I don't know. You'll have to find the address of the contract and see.
I think I can find it. Hold on.
But anyway, that contract, it's still on the blockchain. Here, you're not seeing it's just OpenSea, just showing it up. But the contract is on the blockchain. Yeah, you have the address on the details.
Is this the same contract
Yeah,
address right here?
so
Okay.
so yeah, this is the original merge contract which had a bug, and so they got the marketplace to essentially block any interaction like sale listings, and and they had to remain. And what this means is, in fact, that they had to deploy a new contract. So there is a new version of that contract, which includes the fix, and it's the current merge collection. And the way how they then like pack fixed this the old bug collection with the bug, I think, is that now I don't remember the details and I might be wrong, but I'll try to explain why, how they managed to essentially then delete the old collection. And that was because, if I remember correctly, the minting method function on the contract was you essentially could set the starting token ID, and so they reset it to 0 and they reminted again to the pack address. Essentially, they overwrote the whole collection. Before, there were 28,000 owners, and they reset the token ID to 0 and minted, overwriting the owners.
Okay.
So they minted to Pack, and then at that point, Pack had all the tokens, Pack or Nifty Gateway, I don't remember. And since they were the owner of those tokens, then they could burn those tokens. And
So
that's how
so
they
did
deleted the old collection.
the owner of the bug token have the ability to burn it, or is it still on the blockchain? Do those owners still own those?
I think the 14 items that you see are exactly those that the initial ones that were sold, I think.
I
And
always
that's
thought I always thought those were pretty fascinating. You know, I'm like, man,
Yeah.
even the ones that are messed up, I feel like are still valuable to me, at
Absolutely.
least.
Absolutely.
To me.
I mean, obviously, and I've learned it like, looking at the different drops, is that there's always people that have bad intents, and so you have to make that the assumption that there will be people that will try to exploit you or other people. So for me, obviously, I will happily hold one of those forever, for life. but somebody else could probably sell them to somebody else, and depending on what's the bug, they could cause them to lose money or whatever. Could be a scam.
So you're saying that you think somebody could exploit these and then like
Well, initially, the collection had a bug,
uh-huh.
and now I don't remember the details, but it was somehow it has something to do with somebody selling the token to somebody else, and then I don't know.
It didn't. Did it not merge or something, or
I
they
think
never
he
got it, or they never
I
got
think
it?
he merged, but then the seller will still get something later. Something I really don't remember the details. So, but yeah, that was something that was not supposed to work like as it wasn't working as expected, and it would have penalized people badly, and with that many tokens it would have been a disaster. So luckily they managed to fix it.
They did it very well, I thought. I thought they did a good job
Absolutely. Probably they had a bit of luck also
on it. Wow.
with this thing, like especially how they then deleted the old collection, but definitely kudos to I mean it's like 28,000 tokens,
Yeah.
100 million sale. It's like you're gonna be nervous if something bad happens. And like something I learned from this space is like it's probably could be the most stressful space out there. And this is specifically because again smart contracts always are immutable, and it's like literally launching a rocket into space.
You're trying to fix it while it's in
yeah,
the
one
air.
shot. You're one shot. Like,
Something's going wrong, Houston. We gotta
You're-
fix it.
exactly. I don't know if you recently. I mean, I was looking at this documentary on Netflix about Elon Musk and like SpaceX, and how they're building now that with reusable rockets, and how many tests they can do compared to the times when the shuttle times where they would test this thing like 5 times instead of hundreds and if not thousands of times, and you had every time was like a a risk, because at that point then it becomes
So this is a live feed right here of
Mhm.
Pock and Manifold fixing the merge bug right here.
it's like from there on I've learned many lessons, like looking at things like I'm like you really wanna you know have thinking place, so and like always think about the worst case scenario, because things happen, and
Are you interested
think-
in space, OXG?
well, a little bit, but I don't know. Like, yeah, I follow things every now and then, but like I'm not that interested to be an expert in that sense.
Do you
That
think
makes
if you ever had the opportunity to fly into space, would you?
I don't think so. At least not at the current, with the like the current status, where it's not that comfortable, I would say. Like, I mean, I remember hating flying you know, oversea, like when I used to live in the US.
Uh huh.
Like that 9 hours trip was like, man, I hate my life. And, and I was hoping for like supersonic flight, which obviously at some point probably is gonna happen. Um, so yeah, I mean, I imagine it's one of the most exciting things ever, but I think the average person is probably not ready for this.
You think we're still a couple hundred years out from
Yeah,
like tourism space?
yeah. I mean, I also believe you gotta be well trained and like. I mean, when I look at people flying, F-16, like the Navy and stuff, I think it will be so cool. But then when I look at videos where when they train, like, and they have to go through like crazy, tough training, like 9Gs and those kind of things.
Like the movie Top Gun that just came out.
I'm like, yeah, uh, it looks cool, but probably no, no question, I'm not prepared. Well, and I believe people is not prepared for space as well. Uh, but given like, yeah, um, if it becomes a normality, more like, yeah, why not? That would be awesome.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty cool to fly into space, but like you said, it's just not even feasible at this point. Like, only highly trained like astronauts and people that are needed to go into space
Yeah,
right now. So,
it's too early.
well, I got a couple questions for you, OXG, from
Sure.
Fomoverse Discord. So let me pull those up for you here. First question is going to be from Simply Anders.
Mm-hmm.
I know you know Simply Anders.
So really,
He says, OXG mentioned he is creating a new platform that will work alongside Manifold. Would love to hear about some of the features.
yeah. So I've been working on a project that uh, the idea is that um, it would facilitate the creation launching of a NFT project for creators by through a no code tool that like an interface and that would allow you to configure drop and all those kind of things. Um, and currently,
Like a
I'm
web
not,
page?
yeah, like a service where you can create a project and you can define your collection details in terms of size, price, which payment, like Ethereum hash, whatever token you want to get paid with, and um, whitelist, uh, which could be just for access, private access, pre-sales, and or to define an individual amount of tokens per people, like you want this friend to mint 10, this other person to have a max allowance of 2,
And Austin
and
gets 20? No.
absolutely unlimited unchecked supply for
He can only afford 3.
right, well, unless you tweak the price as well, just for you. So that, and but all that on a contract that is already yours, and that will be manifold, or at some point probably even a completely custom contract. So this is something that I'm mostly uh, sometimes I build things before deciding to go all in with them, like, and turn them into real products. So with this, I'm like almost like the following weeks, I'm gonna make the decision when and where it should go, and it will likely be probably public, and I don't know about other details in terms of, uh, uh, pricing, or probably free. I don't know. I'll have to see. And
Maybe there's like
yeah,
a
but
small gas fee or something.
yeah, I'll that's something that probably right now is not even that important. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's been something that have had in mind for a long time, and especially because I was getting a lot of uh, requests from different people that have no technical expertise or background, skills to do a launch themselves, and too many just end up minting to themselves and then listing things by hand on OpenSea. And with a little bit, I believe, with a little bit of automation, you could completely uh, uh, change the way how they do their drops. And so I'm playing with
Awesome.
this idea. Yep.
Love that, man. Keep it up. Here's the next question. This one's from Offren.
Okay.
You know Offren.
Absolutely.
Question for OXG. The owned was a fun concept. What did you learn from it that could be used for a real world application?
Right. So, um, first of all, um, it was really interesting. This is something I thought last year, um, and maybe when I'm done answering the question, I can explain how that originated. But what I learned is that definitely all of a sudden I started to see uh, plenty of other people attempting something similar, um, in different ways. Um, Sometimes not considering it all, or sometimes bringing up interesting twists to my idea. Um, and the lesson there is that uh, there's definitely an application for uh, rentals, lending, something that can be transferred for a limited amount of time and then um, claimed back. Um, but the way to go as I don't know, community industry, whatever you want to call it, is through standards. And if we want to get to a place where this type of mechanism of lending or rentals, it's usable and mainstream, that will have to go through a standardization where in the end people just build the same uh, implement the same mechanism, so that marketplaces and third parties can then interact with it. And there are a few proposals, but yeah, that's one thing. The other is that probably still there's too many people who don't really understand the ownership mechanism in NFTs, and the fact that many still um, think that NFTs are in their wallets, where in reality wallets are just identity providers. Wallet allows you to uh, prove that you are that wallet address. But then the ownership ledger, or how do you want to call it, book records, those are those exist in the NFT smart contract, where you have an association between the token ID and the owner, and that's where ownership is decided, right? And that's why many, including me, could break some rules of ownership by claiming back, transferring, lending, and all those kind of things.
I could see that being a real big deal, in the even the next upcoming years. I always tell my buddies, I go, hey, if a museum, they want to showcase an NFT, instead of actually acquiring it or purchasing it, maybe they could rent the NFT at a much smaller price and still, show through the ledger, the blockchain, that, hey, we in fact are renting it, and we're paying, $2,000 a day or something just to have this beautiful POC piece hanging up on our wall. So I definitely could see some future use case for that. So go out there and get it, OXG.
Yeah, the problem is only that those all contracts are, like we said earlier, immutable. So for existing NFTs, this doesn't work.
Right.
So there are alternatives where you put a collateral and people get the NFTs for renting. But otherwise, I have a proof of concept of a micro marketplace, which I never deployed to mainnet, for rentals, which does exactly what you said. You rent it for X amount of days, you get paid, you pay X, and you get the NFT for that. And the creators even get some royalties.
Oh, that is beautiful. Do you want to just share with us real quick what that is?
That's something that I have on my computer and never really deployed.
Okay, gotcha. So it's something that's in the works.
Yeah, I don't even know if I will ever do that, because I don't know if I'm gonna sell those tokens even, which is another thing of my projects, probably. Sure, most of them are just either free or just mine in that sense.
Well, that's great. I think it's a good idea to just let the community decide what it's worth.
Sure.
I think you'll pull in some more hardcore collectors that way, in my opinion. We're still so early, so it's kind of hard to determine.
And with the owned, in reality, I still have some. It's kind of unfinished, because I had some plans to do something additional work on it. I just don't know when, if I'll get to it. But yeah.
Just scrolling through your page here, I thought this was pretty interesting.
Oh, this is amazing. Yeah, Joe, it's one. He is a very interesting artist, and he's doing some amazing work. It's still very like. This piece sold for 50 ETH yesterday. But before that, he was, I think. He was.
They had a Target parking lot.
You have to see, like, if you then go to his Twitter account, sometimes some some of the processes, some of the behind the scenes, which are so cool. Obviously, the videos are amazing. But, and I mean, this is gonna be, in my opinion. So before yesterday, I think he's been selling for maximum 20 or something. If I was a whale, like a really real art collector, this is, in my opinion, 100 Heath kind of stuff
Wow.
because it's real.
Yep.
And did you see the car, like the car in this video, this giant car?
The one that's spinning?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like this one.
Yep.
Like if you scroll a little bit down, you have that car in there.
Oh, man.
That's the car. And the best was one guy who replied with what did he say? He said, "I like that's a huge keyboard, man." I guess I found that funny.
It might be. That is pretty
Because-
funny. I like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's
the
like-
keyboard is just right here. That is one giant keyboard.
Anyway,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. Joe is doing really amazing.
Well, hey, OXG, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Anything
Absolutely.
anything you want to share with the audience before we head out?
I don't know. I just want to thank you for having me on. I think, yeah, it's awesome to be here, and looking forward to talk to you all.
Thank you, OXG, again for coming on. We loved having you. We'll catch you next time, all right?
All right.
Have a nice day.
Bye. Bye.